My name is Kristen Plescow and I am a graphic designer at Star City Games. That basically means my job is to make things pretty. I work on the website and with print stuff, and with the other two designers we have a lot of fun. It's one of the few jobs that I can confidently say I enjoy going to every morning. I was born and raised a Navy brat, so I've had a lot of opportunities to live in various different places. I've lived in Portugal and Japan, and I think that's had a lot of influence on my art and who I am today. According to my mom, I started drawing when I was 2 years old. She found a drawing of a clown that had been doodled on a piece of cardboard and had a little lollipop on its head. Very cute, kind of creepy. But there you go. Throughout high school, I always was drawing in class. I loved being distracted, and believe it or not, it did help me focus. And that was a big reason why I passed a lot of my classes. In high school, I took a few art classes, and believe it or not, I ended up failing the AP art exam. Instead of making me stop art, it encouraged me to try harder. And even though when I graduated, I wasn't exactly sure where I wanted to go, I ended up taking a few graphic design classes in community college, and that actually, I loved it so much that I ended up applying to VCU, Virginia Commonwealth University, got in, and had a great time spending 3 years there, learning how not to be terrible. It's hard to say when I started professionally. I mean, I did a few things, a few commissions here or there in high school, and it really helped a lot in college when I needed to pay for tuition or books. I would say my professional career, my legit one, started when I got hired at Star City Games and actually got to see my artwork in print for the first time. My biggest influence on my art has to be video games. I've loved playing since I was a little kid, and I still have a Super Nintendo hooked up underneath my iMac. A few of my favorite artists would be Akihiko Yoshida. He did artwork for Vagrant Story and Final Fantasy Tactics. I adore his line work, and he just does amazing things with mood and color. And James Gurney, who writes and illustrates his own books, one of the more famous and my favorites being Dinotopia. He just is amazing at creating a world and making you really care about it. When Ryan approached me to do the first series of tokens, I actually wasn't sure what a token was. My only experience with Magic the Gathering was when I was about 8 years old and a friend gave me a card from Unhinged, and I still had, you know, it wasn't Pokemon, so I didn't really care too much. I was given an art description, and my process was more or less make a bunch of sketches and show it to the client, and of course, not everything is a winner, so you end up scrapping a few sketches and, you know, combining a few others, and eventually we found the perfect ones, which I brought to completion. The story behind the player tokens is a pretty interesting one. My personal strength would be drawing animals, so to be asked to draw 5 people in tokens is a pretty daunting task and a challenge. The biggest challenge would be finding the right reference photos. A lot of the images we were provided were basically just Facebook photos. A lot of the lighting was wrong, or it was grainy, and it was just awful. And of course, you know, one wrong line and it could end up looking like a completely different person. My process on the player tokens was pretty similar to how it was with the original series of tokens. I drew multiple sketches, and of course some ended up having to be thrown out. For example, Chapin was originally scaling a cliff, and Brad wanted originally to have his and Jerry's tokens be like a Cloud and Sephiroth from Final Fantasy VII, and of course that might be a little too much, so we ended up scrapping that whole idea. Luckily, Brad and Jerry actually live in Roanoke, so it was easy to get feedback from them like throughout the whole process. I'm really nervous about my debut at GP Charlotte. It's really weird to see her name up with legit magic artists. I feel like I'm kind of encroaching in their territory as a noob, and it just feels really weird. I'm sure it's going to be more like F&M and like pre-releases. Everyone just wants to have a good time, and no big issues there. Everyone's going to be awesome. I'm hoping everyone comes out to see my artwork and of course has a great time at GP Charlotte.